right. It's like so I gotta understand where the president's coming from in the sense that it probably didn't make a difference to him in regards to who he was dealing with. And I just had a feeling when Pierre Polyev first started coming out and attacking the president, okay, over the tariffs, I had a feeling that things would work out well, okay, because Pierre Polyev was kind of riding the Trump train, right, going into this election, going into this year, he was riding the Trump train, okay, and he was seen as Canada's Trump, right, that's their version of Trump, and to come out and start attacking Trump instead of making the election about, okay, how can you work with the president? What can you do to work with the president in order to have the best solution for both countries, right? So that we can have a stronger partnership, which I think would have been a wiser approach. No, again, he went liberal anti-Trump because, Canada probably hates Trump, right? A lot of liberals in that country hate Trump. It is a liberal country, an extremely liberal country. And if you're going to make the election about F Trump, then you're not going to out F Trump with the liberals, okay? Because the liberals have always been anti-Trump. Again, this guy was trying to ride the Trump movement train. He was up until Trump got in office, and to be honest, the church just kind of 180. I just don't think it was a good look, right? I think that's part of the reason why he lost the vote, right? And I think it really reflects more on his leadership and his work ethic than it does on President Trump. Because again, a lot of people are just blaming Trump. But I don't think that he lost because of Trump. I think he lost because ultimately he wasn't that great. And if you look at the breakdown of the polls, right, the issues that people care about, again, this guy was running as a change candidate and he failed to get his base to get the people on board with the change that he was speaking about.
Not just a few thousand people. We're up around 7,000 of them. They're saying that just to show the U.S. how it's different. This is fucking iron baby boomers. Okay, so now we're saying this is all respondents. This is just people who are boomers. What do they think of the top issue? Canada and U.S. relations. So you see one of the reasons why older people are voting for the Liberal Party. This Liberal Party is way ahead on this issue. They own it. And if you're a boomer, you're focused on it. Okay, now you wanted to contrast with, let's talk to our friends in Gen Z. Gen Z, what do they think is the top issue? Affordability and cost of living. So when you look at that, yeah, and so when you look at the difference, and that maps sort of interrupt, but that maps more to Poilievre's side of the equation. Absolutely, this is time for a change focus. I've seen someone show up in a very candidate tonight in a very efficient way so far. So that contrast on what people think this election is about, whether it's about Donald Trump in the U.S. or it's about the whole affordability situation, what's going on in their own homes, that's what the race is about. And once again, this is polling done as people left the polling booth today.
Yeah, so again, you talk about the top issue being affordability and the cost of living amongst the overall electorate, right? And yes, you have a certain group of people, the voters that were, screw Trump, right? But regardless, when you talk about that being one of the top issues, again, this guy decided to make his campaign about F Trump rather than focusing on how bad the liberals have been and the solutions that he has as a conservative. I really do believe that was his downfall, right? And there's also questions about his work ethic and whether or not Pierre Polyev put in the work and did he campaign as hard as he should have been campaigning, right? Or did Mark Carney, along with President Trump and the trade war, did that kind of throw him off, right? Did that make him kind of lose his juice? Regardless, I'm just saying that if he was really that guy, the foreign leader of another country should not be affecting whether or not you can win an election, right? I'm just saying, like, if he was really that guy. But, hey, I'm not trying to be too hard on here. I'm just telling you guys that this whole with the Trump thing, I think it's kind of silly. I think ultimately they lost because he wasn't good enough. He just wasn't a great candidate, right? Even though I like the guy, ultimately I just think towards the end he failed to adjust in the right way to dealing with President Trump, and the liberals went all in on anti-Trump. And again, the conservatives, you weren't going to anti-Trump, the liberals. So running on that, I think, was a big mistake. So without further ado, let's actually listen to a little bit of what Mark Carney has to say and some of the coverage in the media.
Breaking overnight this stunning political comeback thanks to and at the expense of President Trump. Canada's Liberal Party, led by Prime Minister Mark Carney, declared victory overnight despite being really left for dead several months ago. But then Donald Trump took office, targeted Canada with tariffs, and threatened to annex it as the 51st state.
America wants our
VIP
land,
passes to
our
whoever kills
resources,
them.
our water, our country. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
Stop!
That
I
was
surrender.
the
Please
main
don't kill me.
campaign issue, and this is what Donald Trump has said about Canada over the last several
My
months.
laptop, they're in my backpack. All the files are on there.
And we can't let them take advantage of the U.S. What I'd like to see Canada become our 51st state. Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. If we make it in the United States, we don't need it to be made in Canada. We'll have the jobs. That's why Canada should be our 51st state. So when I say they should be a state, I mean that. I really mean that because we can't be expected to carry a country.
I do like it. Here's the thing about Trump wanting Canada to be a state, right? Politically speaking, Canada should not be a state, right? I don't want more liberals in the union, right? For obvious reasons, we do not need more liberals. But from an economic perspective, I kind of understand what President Trump is saying, and also from a national security perspective as well, too. Especially, again, when you look at some of these trade routes that are opening up in the north part of Canada around Greenland. It is in our best interest to control those shipping lanes, those trade routes, for military purposes. Yeah, it is in our best interest to have some control over that, right? It's also in our best interest to have access to Canada's abundant materials and resources. It can definitely use them more efficiently than Canada, right? It is in our best interest, I think, from an economic perspective, to bring Canada in, but from a political perspective, it would never work, right? It would be an absolute disaster. So I do understand what the president is saying, okay, from a national security standpoint and from an economic standpoint, but from a political standpoint, I think it's terrible. I think it's absolutely terrible to have Canada as a part of the United States of America.
Oh, Canada, right? It's a beautiful thing. I think we're going to have to keep it. We're the 51st state. I call him Governor Trudeau.
Right, how decisive was President Trump in the Canadian election? Our friend Jonathan Martin at Politico heard from Republican Congressman Don Bacon overnight. Yes, Republican Congressman Bacon told him, quote, the Liberals in Canada were losing big until our president kept mocking Canadians, our neighbors and close friends. He made Canadian Liberals great again.
Yeah, so again, here's the thing about that, right? Imagine voting for somebody based off hatred for a foreign leader, right? If you're voting for somebody based off hatred of a foreign leader rather than performance of the individual or the party that they are part of, then that says more about the voter and it says about the foreign leader, right? It says that the voters clearly have a strong case of Trump arrangement, right? I don't think I would ever vote for a United States president based off any other country's foreign leader, right? I'm voting for the president based off their performance and what they have done, right? What they can do for the country, okay? Not what some other country is saying or what some other country is doing. And Canada deciding to vote based off President Trump and the stuff that he's saying, to me, is just, it's insane, right? I mean, again, it speaks more about the voters than it does about President Trump, especially considering how much of a disaster that Canada's been, right? The reason why the conservative candidate was leading in the first place is because Canada has been a disaster, okay? Being run by the liberals, it has become a complete and total disaster. And for them to just change because Trump is in office and Trump says things that they don't like, I mean, truths, to be honest with you, a lot of stuff is just truths, okay? I mean, for as much as we subsidize Canada, they should be a state. Now, again, politically speaking, I've already talked about it. It doesn't work for me. But ultimately, if you're that offended to the point where you're going to vote for the party that has destroyed your country because you hate the president of the United States, then, hey, you kind of deserve what you get, right? I'm just saying. So, with that being said, you know, Pierre Poilievre, not only did he lose, his party lost the election, but he also lost his own seat. And again, I think that kind of speaks more about him than it does about President Trump. I think people blaming President Trump, I think, are not analyzing this situation correctly. Yes, did Trump have influence on the election? Obviously, okay? But again, if you have people who are so Trump deranged that they decide to vote based off of some other foreign country's leader, right, the things they're saying, then again, the people deserve everything that they voted for, right? In this case, things are not going to get better in Canada. They're only going to get worse under liberal leadership. But again, at least they voted for the guy that they thought, right, would stand up to Trump, right? This is what they voted for, and let's see how that works out. I don't think that's going to work out well for Canada, but who knows? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll support and share a Black Conservative Perspective. Peace.
Are your day-to-day expenses piling up? Do you need $100 but don't want to deal with credit checks or high interest rates? Have you heard of Credit Genie? Credit Genie? Yeah, it's an app that can give you $100 instantly. No credit checks and no interest rates. Let me download this app right now. I don't believe you. With Credit Genie, you can get the cash you need when you need it. Problem solved. You're welcome.
Why are we called Northern Tool and Equipment and not Northern Tool and Tomfoolery? Unlike the big box stores, you get the heavy-duty stuff you want without the lightweight stuff you shove. Northern Tool and Equipment. Get serious.
What you carrying lately? So what you looking
Sit
for?
back and relax the show because today President Trump is set to commemorate his first 100 days with an event in the state of Michigan where he's expected to make a major announcement for the future of America's car business.
Madeline Rivera is live at the White House with the details. Good morning, Madeline.
Good morning, guys. A senior administration official tells Fox that the move today to soften the blow of some of those car tariffs is meant to give manufacturers more time to move production back to the United States. A lot of industry insiders have mentioned concerns that doing something like that could potentially take years. So Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says this deal is a major victory for the president's trade policy by rewarding companies who manufacture domestically, while providing runway to manufacturers who have expressed their commitment to invest in America and expand their domestic manufacturing. So here's what we might see. The Wall Street Journal reports that 25% tariffs on foreign-made cars and parts will remain in effect, but the automakers won't have to pay other duties like those on steel and aluminum. This would be retroactive, meaning the manufacturers will be reimbursed for the tariffs they have already paid, and they'll also be reimbursed for some of the tariffs on imported auto parts. That levy is supposed to take effect on Saturday. The changes come as polls show most voters remain gloomy about the economy. As the president marks his 100th day in office today, a Fox News poll shows 38% approve of his performance on the economy, 56% disapprove, 33% approve of his moves on tariffs, 59% disapprove. A Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is aiming to reshape the message around the economy.
We've got a three-legged stool here. That it's trade, it's tax, it's deregulation. President Trump has come out of
Hello,
the
madam. How can I help you today?
Big deal for the American people. He's given 1-2 press conferences a day, an incredible level of transparency.
I'll send that round right away.
And Bessent will be attending the briefing today with White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. That briefing is supposed to take place at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Yesterday, Bessent met with top GOP negotiators on the president's One Big Beautiful Bill, and they're really looking to that to unlock a lot of the president's domestic priorities, especially on border security, defense, and taxes. Lauren, Steve Ainsley, and Ryan.
All right, Madeline.
I wonder if Caroline Leavitt will start having these press conferences at 8:30 each morning. Yesterday she had that one with Tom Homan. Today she's having Scott Bessent. He talked to the GOP leaders about our economy. Trump did a great job handling immigration, handling our borders. He's cleaned up our country in a major way. Now everyone who are in the streets, they love what he's doing, but they say what he's doing in the car industry, this is going to be wonderful, really focus on the tariffs and getting some of these deals done.
Well, and the thing about having a press briefing at 8:30, it's an hour before the market opens. And so if the administration's got something that could move the market, it's a smart move.
Well, I think the administration is taking the messaging back, getting right back to why he was elected. So it started yesterday with what was happening at the border. I don't think we've had a more secure border. Tom Homan's leadership.
Yo, what you need?
Campaign
Done. Shit, rise on the way.
People are saying, oh, the president doesn't understand our pain. He's going out there saying, look, I'm going to those union workers. These were normally Democratic voters. They switched over to the Republican Party. He's saying, look, I'm going to help you out with some of the pain as we figure out this tariff situation. Now it's your move, China. Do you want to make a deal?
Didn't you miss Lawrence? He was on vacation last week. I mean, that's I'd like to add too that today's going to be really impactful because it's the economic message, and Scott Bessent is the people want to hear from.
and they want to see deals come in, and I think they're close.
Really impressed with them. You've done it for a long time.
Yeah, he's been doing the radio show for like 2 years, and people used to introduce him. He might be Treasury Secretary, and the answer would be, well, I never heard of him. And now everyone's heard of him. Okay. Yeah, here's a look back at the 100 days as they were, as you lived them. And for American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. 45. Yesterday it became 47. President Donald Trump got to work immediately, issued over 200 executive actions. As his first cabinet official, it's confirmed unanimously. Secretary of State Marco Rubio
That was sworn in as Defense Secretary, and Chrissy Noem was sworn in as Homeland Security Secretary on Saturday.
Now, these National Guard members that are down here, they have full authority in this council. Military and the world will not be intimidated by anybody, let alone cartels. The border's closed. Illegal border crossings are down more than 90%. 2 months in, border crossings are almost at zero.
President Trump thanking El Salvador for taking in hundreds of illegal migrants that were deported from our country.
We're getting them out in record numbers, and we had a lot of problems with the courts because the courts want to pretend they're precedent, and they're not precedent. They didn't get 80 million votes.
In sanctuary cities, ICE agents have launched early morning raids, effectively ending the Biden-era catch and release program.
The very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens. It's called the Riley Act. This is an order creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as DOGE. Okay, that's a big one. Democrats say they want Elon Musk fired immediately. We're going to shut down Elon Musk's illegal operation. If we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going to bankrupt. This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
DOGE says its estimated savings so far total about $140 billion.
We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion a month. Another Tesla property attack. It's under a very serious investigation by the FBI and by the Justice Department. These people are terrorists.
There were 1,200 rallies called hands-off rallies protesting Donald Trump, his policies, DOGE, tariffs. Right now, the Dow future is down sharply as global markets take a big hit in response to President Trump's tariffs announcement. The president says America is in the driver's seat.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling themselves Kishima. They are dying to make a deal. Please stop making a deal. The local markets soar as President Trump follows reciprocal tariff on most nations for 90 days. We have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. China raising tariffs on the U.S.
Beijing announces a 125% tariff on U.S. imports. The White House says tariffs on China are now at 145%.
Dozen Democrat-led states have sued the Trump administration over the tariffs. The news hasn't been going to happen.
Now you don't need a session.
The president issuing the executive order that all federal diversity, equity, and inclusion offices must close by 5 p.m. today.
Last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring the higher standards for air traffic controllers will restore faith in American air travel. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. I want Iran to be great. The only thing that they can't have is a nuclear weapon. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. You're gambling with World War III. Another hostage release today. An American wrongfully detained in Russia for more than 3 years. I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now.
On his first foreign trip, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is set to visit Panama. Now, Panama's agreed not to renew the 2017 Chinese contracts.
Vice President J.D. Vance visits the space agreement. We need agreement for national security and international security. I think we'll go as far as we have to go. Canada should honestly become our 51st state. We wouldn't have a northern border problem. We wouldn't have a tariff problem. Under the Biden administration, there was a war against American energy, and today that war officially has ended.
President Trump carrying through on one of his campaign promises, signing a much anticipated executive order to dismantle the Department of Education.
I want Congress to be a partner in this, and I believe they will be. I suggest people know what has caused the why it's been an epidemic will be able to eliminate those exposures. In a few moments, I'll sign a historic executive order to ban men from competing in women's sports.
The president has made it quite clear that it's Harvard who has put themselves in a position to lose their own funding by not obeying federal law.
We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly. And nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours. And our golden age has just begun.
That seems like 4 years. That seems like 4 years. I mean, compare that to the Biden administration. He had one day when he stacked up the executive orders, he signed them, and then we didn't see him for 3 months. And this president nonstop, he's just pumping out more today and more yesterday, more today. Look for helping out cops, get them legal backed up in case they're wrongly accused of acting on the job. And now today he goes out to Michigan to explain what's going to be done. And also the auto tariffs might be getting an exemption on this whole tariff trouble.
Brian, I think your explanation yesterday about the report card and how they're doing so much so fast. And you talk about the building of the house. You can't judge it when you spend the framework for 100 days. You got all this whole exactly.
That's FDR. 100 days from FDR.
It's exactly right.
To compare what he's saying, what he's doing, when you watch that whole montage, to Joe Biden. And the energy that he has. I watched the press conference yesterday when the Phillies and the Eagles were at the White House. He is so good at communicating. It's such a gift because if we had to do that, I don't know enough about football. I would be a nervous wreck. But he knows about every sport. He knows about trade. He knows about the border. He's so equipped for this job, and I think he's having more fun. He even said that in an interview with the Atlantic. He's having more fun this go round. But he talked to the coach. He brought the security guy up who loves Donald Trump. He talked to the owner. He talked to all the players. He talked about the plays and how they beat the Chiefs this time. It was just, I watched that press conference and I thought, he is gifted.
Well, and to the, let's pull the audience. In fact, we're going to go at the audience. How many people, after watching all that stuff, are just exhausted because so much stuff got done? Right? Everybody, let's also, let me see your hands. Who voted for change in the 2024 election? All right. Who's got change so far? All right, they're making change. What's your name, sir? I'm Nick. Hey, Nick, I'm Steve. Good to see you. Thanks, Nick. Where are you from? Virginia. Okay, very good. I got family down there. Nick, what are you making the first 100 days?
I think the first 100 days has been wonderful. I think we've seen a lot of the changes that we all expected and were looking for. It's like a lot of things, you're cleaning up a mess, and that takes time, and you have to break a few eggs during that, and I think we're seeing that.
Okay, very good. Let's come on over here. This guy's been on the program before. Stand up for a second. Hey, can we get a shot of those shoes? Where do you get those shoes like that?
Amazon.
Okay, where are they from?
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so what would you say the number one topic that you voted for that has been addressed so far in this administration, this time around?
How long?
Log into your patient portal account, select schedule an appointment, and choose the date, time, and provider that work best for you. The patient portal call has been forwarded to the voicemail form at the MG Airline Med Lab Hospital. Someone is available to take your call. At the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording, you may.
Talking about.
Thank you for calling the Doctor Airline. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Please listen carefully, as our menu options have changed. To schedule, cancel, or reschedule an appointment, press 1. For questions about medication, refill, or less. Thank you for calling MDMG Airline Scheduling. Please hold while I try to connect you. Did you know you can schedule your own office visit?
Yes, ma'am. My name is John Naughton, and I'm calling on dealing with my prescription. that's still not authorized, man. I'm like, I'm having sweats and all kinds of stuff going on, and I don't want to have to go to the hospital. Zero 01 27 19 69 69. Yes, ma'am. January 27, 1969. No, because but y'all should know it because they say they done called y'all about 4 times dealing with the authorization, and I'm like, well, why would y'all have to call them when it's my insurance? But I don't know. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, thank you. That's great. They know I need this medication, but they ain't authorized for me to get the medication. They want me to go to that motherfucking emergency room. I'm not doing it. Fuck y'all. Bullshit. Really.
It's a show. Borders, fossil fuels, the VA, military, respect. And we got a leader back in the White House. I call it commander in chief because we are respected again. And haters will always hate. The American people are not fools, and they saw what the first 4 years of Trump did, especially in tariffs. Right? Be a little patient. The first 4 years, he did it. He did the tariffs, our economy, and we were like, we had more jobs than people. All right, actually did.
Round of applause for this. You just talked a little bit about Virginia. Virginia. Yes. Well, he's from Virginia. Yes. I was born in Virginia. Okay, so Virginia, he mentioned the tariffs. You know, in Madeline Rivera's report, it's something like 68% of the country doesn't feel good about the tariffs.
Right. I can understand why they're afraid that everything else is going to inflation. We're going to have.
Right now?
Really, thank God.
I'm not talking about being here in the studio.
Yeah, well, financially, I'm a retired person. I'm pretty
The money keeps coming in.
Yes.
As long as it's Social Security.
As long as my health is here. Money means nothing when you're my age.
Right? That's it. This lady knows I'm coming over here every time. You sit down. I'm just going to go like this. What's your name?
Sheila Erickson.
Sheila, what's your observation about the first 100 days?
I think the first 100 days has been a breath of fresh air. I think that everybody's been waiting for change, no matter what party you are. Right. I feel that the change is undeniable, and so this is the first 100 days. I can't wait to see what the first 1,000 days.
What about the next 100 days?
Next 100 days are going to be exciting. Those trade talks. He's got 8 countries that are right on the line to get started, and I think it's going to be laying the groundwork to his point earlier that he's building the house, he's building the framework for what our future is. And as a mother of 3 children in this country, we're bringing it back to basics, and we're building from the bottom up.
Who's taking care of the kids right now?
My husband.
Do you need to tell him on the TV to make them toast or something?
No, I think he's good. I left all the backpacks.
All right, good. All right. Round of applause, everybody. You were very, very great. All right.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Ryan Kilby.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.